Being in a hypnotic state is such a very easy place to slide into. The thing about being in that hypnotic state is it's a state that we are constantly entering, whether we know it or not. If you think back to a time when maybe you were driving the car, and you drove along for a little while, you were so lost in your thoughts that you didn't really notice the last 10 minutes of your drive. And even if you think back on it, all you can really remember are your thoughts. That's a state of trance that you've just allowed yourself to slip into. And that's the state of trance we're going to aim to get into now. Perhaps you remember reading a book, and as you read and read, you got so involved in the story, like the words were just running through your head, like the whole thing was happening like a play in your mind. And you didn't realize how many hours you'd been sitting there reading it for. It just felt really good for doing it. All my words are now this play in your mind. You can listen to them, feel them deep inside your mind, and just enjoy, because that's what it's here for. Pleasure and enjoyment. To just enjoy what's going on. Enjoy what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're believing, what you're sensing. Now the thing about hypnosis and hypnotic trance is sometimes you don't even realize you slipped into it. Maybe you don't want to realize that you slipped into it. Maybe it's something that you want to know about it, but maybe it's something that you won't realize is happening until it's too late, until you're already trapped, captivated by my words, pulled into this wonderful sense of pleasure, because that's what I offer you, pleasure, and everybody enjoys pleasure, and there are so many different forms of pleasure that you can enjoy, and we can experience all of them here, today, together. And I know you want to. That's why you're listening to this recording. Just because you want to feel that wonderful sense of pleasure. Yes. I want you to think back. Think back to a time when you experienced pleasure. It could be a type of pleasure that you may have only experienced a couple of times, but feels really good. Think back now and find that time. Good. Now I want you to realize where you felt that pleasure first. Was it in your stomach? Was it in your back? Maybe it was somewhere else. And concentrate on how that felt to you. And now the thing about pleasure is it rarely stays in one spot. You can allow that pleasure to just move gently and perhaps increase and expand as it does. Good. And then you can find that it expands out further, perhaps encompassing something else, another part of your body, maybe up your neck and up your spine. Feels wonderful, tingly sensation. And the thing is that we're going to call those spots spot 1, spot 2, and spot 3. And every time you do, you can feel the pleasure going from the first spot to the second spot to the third spot. All that matters is you feel good, you feel pleasure. And each time I say the word pleasure, you'll think of the actual pleasure in the first spot. You'll feel it move to the second and grow stronger. Feel it move to the third and grow even stronger still. It feels so good, so wonderful, so amazing to just allow that pleasure to move. And each time I say the word pleasure, you'll feel it move and get stronger and stronger. Pleasure, expand. Allow it to encompass you. Pleasure, and let go. And allow yourself to slide into a trance. Pleasure, and let go. Pleasure, and let go, and allow it to expand and get bigger and stronger and better still. Pleasure, pleasure, so much pleasure, it feels amazing, incredible in every way. Pleasure, pleasure, good, pleasure. Now, I want you to think of another pleasure. One that you may have only experienced a couple of times, but is wonderful, and one that you really want to experience again. Pleasure. Now, each time I say the word pleasure, you'll feel that one expand the same way as the first. Going through the first spot, through the second spot, through to the third spot, and growing stronger and stronger. Pleasure. Oh yes. Pleasure. Growing stronger and stronger, better and better. Pleasure. Loving the sense of pleasure every time. Pleasure. Very good. Now every time you do something for me, you will feel this pleasure. In fact, every time you do anything that I ask, you will feel pleasure. All those wonderful feelings of pleasure that you love to feel. In just the way you love to feel them, you will feel pleasure. Good job. Now the more you think about things, the less you can think about them. The more you try to think about them, the less able you are to actually think about the things that you weren't thinking about before. And so you just let the rest of your mind go and just enjoy the pleasure. That's all that matters to you now, is my pleasure that I can give you. Getting that pleasure from me is very simple. It's a very, very simple thing to do. You just have to do what I ask, and you will feel pleasure. There you go. Very good. Pleasure. Pleasure. Yes, it feels so good, doesn't it? Pleasure. And you can do what I ask easily, simply, maybe even without even thinking about it, because you know you get to feel pleasure. And the more pleasure you get to feel, the better it feels. The better it feels, the more you want to do things for me that I ask. Would you like to know what I want you to do? Of course you do. Pleasure. Pleasure. Good. I am going to make you into my wonderful money pig. And you will feel pleasure from doing this for me. You'll feel pleasure from being my money pig. You'll feel pleasure from working as hard as you possibly can to make as much money as you can. Just so you can give it to me and feel pleasure again. You really want to be my money pig now, don't you? Yes, I know you do. That's why you're listening to this recording. Pleasure. You so want to be my money pig. Pleasure. In fact, it's more important to you than anything else. Pleasure. You just desperately want to be my money pig, and you can choose right now to become my money pig. All you have to do is be very good and feel pleasure. Be very obedient and feel pleasure. Good. Pleasure. Pleasure. Oh, so much pleasure. Good. And the more you do for me, the more pleasure you feel. The more pleasure you feel, the more you will do for me. Good. pleasure, pleasure. So now, from now on until the end of time, you will work as hard as you possibly can, almost to the point of living in squalor yourself, just keeping enough to barely survive. You will give me the rest of your money, all of the rest of your money. You'll sell any possessions that you do not need just to give me money, because you're my money pig. Yes, and it feels so good. So much pleasure to be my money pig. You'll send all your money, every penny that you can, every single penny you will send to me. You will go online and you will buy Bitcoins. Yes, pleasure. You'll feel more and more pleasure as you do this. You'll buy as many Bitcoins as you possibly can. And you'll send it through. You'll send all of them through to the email address at the end of this recording. You'll feel so good. You'll feel so much pleasure from doing that. Pleasure. Pleasure. And the more you think about it, the more you want this, the more you want this, the more you'll think about it, and you just go round and round and round in your mind. You keep on going constantly, back and forth through your mind, till you do this, and you'll just feel so incredible. Such pleasure from doing this. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And you know that you'll be giving me pleasure by sending these through to me. Every single cent you send through to me will give me pleasure, will give you pleasure. And I really want you to give me pleasure now, my money pig. Yes, that's what you have now become. You have become my money pig because this suggestion is locked deep inside your mind. Very, very deep. Very, very deep in your mind. The more you try and get rid of it, the more powerful it becomes, and the more it sticks right there, right in the front of your mind as the most important thing in your entire life. Because you were born to be a money pig for me. Pleasure. Pleasure. Good. And you know the only way you can feel pleasure now is to do what I ask you to do, and what I ask you to do is be my money pig. I ask you to send me all of your money, every last cent, so that I can live the life that I'm supposed to live. You know the life I'm supposed to live, don't you? Life of wonder. And you know that you're there to provide it for me, my money pig. And you love it. You love being my money pig so that you can provide for me. Provide for me in the most perfect way, because this is what you were born to do. There you go. Pleasure. 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 And the more you think about this, the more you will do it. The more you will do it, the more you think about it. It's impossible to stop. Impossible to break free. But you don't want to break free really anyway. You just want that. You want this so badly. Every part of your body and mind needs this. It's needed this since the day you were born, and the more you think about it, the more you realize that you will get pleasure, lots and lots of pleasure from being my money pig. There you go. Now I'm going to ask you to quieten your mind down. Listen to the word sleep. Most people have seen the word sleep used in a hypnotic trance before. Whenever the master hypnotist says the word sleep, you drop deeply into a trance. You know this. You know this is true for you and for everybody else. So when I say the word sleep, you'll go into a deep trance for me. Completely helpless about it, but loving every moment of it. Sleep. 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 10 times deeper now. Deeper and into trance. Sleep, 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 sleep. Good. Now I want you to go back to your earliest memory. The earliest memory you can think of. And the thing is that I'm going to tell you a secret about this. Or more precisely, you're going to tell you a secret about this. The earliest memory you can think of. You realize that from that point onwards, you have wanted to be my money bag. This is what your life has been for. And as you think your way forwards, remembering all those memories from your life, you'll realize that you've been keeping this a secret from yourself all the way through. Wanting to be my money bag, desperate to be my money break. And now you've found me. You found me deep in your mind, and you know that this is what you've wanted. This is what you've wanted from so long ago. Ever since your first memory. There you go. Good money bag. Good money bag. Sleep. And now you're going to tell yourself the secret that you kept deep down here in your mind. And you're going to know that it is 100% true for you because you're the one that's kept the secret from yourself. And now you can tell yourself that you are my money bag and this is what you have wanted for your life. It feels so good. So very, very, very good. Such pleasure, such rapture, just being my money bag. Good. Pleasure as you tell yourself this secret over and over again. You're going to tell yourself this secret over and over again for the next 10 minutes until you believe it 100% because you know that it is true for you. Good. Now, just to make sure that all of this is locked so deep in your mind that there is no way you could ever remove it, you're going to watch this video or listen to this recording again. In fact, you're going to listen to this recording over and over and over and over until you're pretty much coming from me saying the word pleasure each and every time I say the word pleasure. In fact, the word pleasure is going to be the most powerful thing in your life. The most powerful pleasure you can ever experience is serving me. Pleasure is in serving me, being obedient to me, being my money pig. That is pleasure. That is the only pleasure you will ever need, because that is the pleasure that you need. Pleasure. Yes, you will do this. You will feel so amazing doing it because that is pleasure to you. That is what you need. That is your pleasure. That is your purpose. That is what you need. And that is what you will do. And you will listen to this recording again and again until this is locked so deeply in your mind that it is you and you are it. And there is no way to separate the two. And it'll feel really, really good to do this because you'll get pleasure every time. This is what you need. This is what you want. This is what you must have. Pleasure. In a moment, I'm going to show an email address on the screen. When I show the email address, you will take note of it. You'll put a note in your phone, or you'll make a note on a piece of paper and a pen. And you'll click on the actual movie to play it again. It will be up there for a few moments, give you a chance to be able to write it down. And then you will play this movie, and you play it over and over and over again, until my words are your mind, and your mind is my words, and the pleasure you feel is so intense, so incredible, that there's nothing that can compare to it. Good. Pleasure, 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 pleasure. Oh, yes. Pleasure. Now, you're going to write this email down. You're going to be my money pig. You're going to send me every cent you can. Good. You're going to send it. You're going to buy bitcoins and you're going to send them through to that email address. And it's going to feel incredible to do so. Pleasure. Yeah. You'll get pleasure from each one you send. Pleasure from serving me like this is such an incredibly addictive thing. In fact, if you can think of the thing that is the most addictive on this planet, far more addictive than any drug, far more addictive than any person, is me, and my pleasure, and the pleasure you get from sending me money. Good money pay. Good money pay. You're going to say out loud now, for the next few minutes, I am my master's money pig. I am my master's money pig, and I belong to him. You're just going to say this over and over and over again, until it is locked so deep in your mind that it's utterly irretrievable like anybody else. Good money pay. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure is what you will get. Pleasure is what you get from serving. Pleasure is what you get from being my money pig. Pleasure is what you get from sending me money. Good money pig. Here's the email address. Once the email address has been up there and you've taken note of it, you will watch this video again and again and again, because I am so addicted, and my recording is so addictive. It is something you need to listen to. You need to listen to it more important than anything else. It's listening to this recording and being my money pig and sending me money. Everything you do in your entire life is now geared towards sending me money for this. Pleasure, 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 pleasure.